So if you are new to how these TAD Talks work, let me explain a little. We're going to do about 2 minutes of housekeeping, which is what we've started to do now. Then I'm going to talk for about 10 to 15 minutes. And then we're going to have about 15 to 20 minutes of moderated discussion. So what does that mean? What is moderated? Why do we have that? So a moderated discussion is simply where the moderator is in control of the discussion. Tonight, our moderator is Tim Kraus. Tim, can you say hi?
Hi there, everybody.
Hello.
Hi, Martha.
Hi, nice to see everybody.
Yes.
So how this will work is that in just a moment, I'm going to mute all of you. And after my talk, if you wish to join the discussion, you can raise your hand either in person or use a little hand raise button on your Zoom account. And Tim will call on you to speak, or you can put your thoughts in the chat box and then Tim will pick and choose some of the thoughts in the chat box to share with everyone for those who might have a hard time reading the chat box. And if you're joining us by phone, then you can just go ahead and say, I have something to say, and Tim will let you know when you can speak. And we're doing this because about 15 households RSVP'd for tonight's discussion, and we want to make sure everybody has a chance to speak. And the best way to do that is with a moderator. So guidelines for tonight's discussion. We're going to have no fixing, no saving, no advising, no setting people straight, unless they ask. So how does that work? Well, if someone says, I think for Christmas, I'm going to do X, but I'm afraid of my mother-in-law's reaction. It is not your job to say, well, you should, yada, yada, yada. Instead, we're just going to hold what that person has said and said, that can be difficult. Now, if that person says, I'm planning to do X, but I'm afraid of my mother-in-law's reaction, can you give me some suggestions? Then you can provide some suggestions. But in that case, I ask you to use I statements. So you might say, well, when I had a similar issue, I did yada, yada, yada. And then I don't think it's going to come up much, but just in case it does, we're going to use oops, ouch. And what that means is if something someone has said has hurt you, I want you to say ouch. And then I'm going to invite the person who made the hurtful comment to say oops, to acknowledge the impact of their words, even if it was not their intent. And that way we can address the issue and move on. So with that, I'm going to come up here. I'm going to start muting you all so we can get going. Okay. Wonderful. So again, welcome to Reimagining Holiday Traditions during COVID-19. Let's start with our chalice lighting. This is called Sacred Unknowing by Amy Carol Webb. We light this flame for the art of sacred unknowing, humbled by all that we cannot fathom in this time. We come into the presence of what we do know, perhaps the only thing we can ever know, that love is now and forever the only answer to everything and everyone in every moment. So a little bit about myself. Most of you know me. Some of you know me a little, some of you know me quite a bit, but others of you don't know me. So give a little introduction. My name is Meredith, and I'm the Director of Lifespan Faith Development at the First Unitarian Church of Cincinnati. That's me in the orange dress there. My husband is Doug. We've been married about 12 years now, and we have 2 daughters. There's Lily, who's 9, about to be 10. She was born 14 weeks early, and as a result, she has an alphabet soup of diagnoses, from cerebral palsy to visual impairment to cognitive impairment. The list goes on. In addition, she is medically fragile. So we really have to be careful about what she's exposed to. She's had quite a few stays in the hospital. Then there's Sierra. She's our 3-year-old, almost 4. She was born 8 weeks early, but actually didn't suffer any ill effects from her prematurity. Sierra has a rare genetic disorder. It's so rare, in fact, that she's the only one in the world with it. As you can see, they both use a wheelchair. And so we've had to do a lot of accommodating in our everyday lives. And we adapt a lot. We adapt seating. We adapt communication. We adapt gameplay. That's a video game controller right there. We adapt the way that we go to the park. See there, Sierra's in a baby swing, but she has a special insert that helps support her. And there's Lily when she was much younger on a wheelchair seesaw. Isn't that great? That's up in Westerville. We adapt the way that we dance, the way that we play ball, the way that we swim. We even make adaptations when we go to the movies. There's Sierra with some noise-canceling headphones. How we go to the skate park. How we go to the beach. How we go on vacation. Here's us at Mammoth Cave. They actually have an accessible cave tour. And how we hike. There's us on a hike and Hocking Hills. And Lily has played adaptive sports like adaptive baseball and adaptive hockey. And we've, of course, adapt holidays. So here we are when Lily was really little. She's dressed up as a character from Mario Kart. Doug is Mario, of course, and I am one of the boxes you don't want to hit. And we've spent both an Easter and a Christmas in the neonatal intensive care unit. Throughout the, near decade that we've been adapting and reimagining, I've found 3 questions are really helpful when I decide that we should do something or something needs to change. And these are the 3 questions I want to give you as you reimagine holiday traditions. 1, what's really important here? As you think about the coming holidays, pick one out and ask yourself, what's really important to me about this holiday? And it's going that the answer to that's going to be different for every person. If your holiday traditions tend to involve other people, these are questions you might want to explore with those people and see where your commonalities lie. The next question is, what barriers do I face? Right now, physical presence, being with someone in person, sharing a meal together, those are barriers many of us face. And then the last question is, what are my resources? So a resource right now that I can name off the top of my head is Zoom, the ability to connect virtually. So I ask these questions pretty much all the time whenever we're preparing to do something new. And I always seem to ask them in this order. And I do that because if I focus, say, on barriers first, then I tend to get really depressed about everything that cannot be done. And if I focus on resources, I can get really overwhelmed by all the possibilities. So asking myself what's really important is a really crucial first step. And if you do all of that, I think what's really amazing is that you can come away with a new tradition that actually might see you through to coming years. So there's a story that I want to uplift here. It's called One Candle by Eve Bunting, illustrated by K. Wendy Pop. In this story, a grandmother and a great aunt share, during a Hanukkah celebration, they share about the Hanukkah that they spent in a concentration camp. Both grandmother and the great aunt worked in the kitchens of the concentration camp, making dinner for the officers. And over the course of several days, as Hanukkah approached, grandmother took small things from the kitchen. She took a knife, she took some margarine, and then one day she took a potato, smuggled it out back to her barracks where there were 12 other girls. And she started cutting the potato. And everyone in her barracks wanted to know, were they about to have a feast? But no. She did, after cutting and scooping out the potato, each person did get to taste some potato, which in the book is described as the sweetest candy. And then she put the margarine in the little hollowed out section of the potato. Aunt Rose tore a section of thread from her garment, and using some matches that grandmother had stolen, they made a candle for Hanukkah. And this is the story about how every year grandmother and great aunt share this story with their family. And it's become a tradition which uplifts the power of perseverance and strength during hard times. And it helps them remember how strong they are even in the good times. And I find that really powerful. And I think there's an opportunity in the coming months. I'm not saying that what we're going through is anything like the Holocaust. But I think there's an opportunity in the next few months to instate some new traditions that might remind us of our strength moving forward. So I'm going to take these 3 questions and very quickly tell you how I've used them to decide what we're going to do next Saturday for Halloween. This is a rather low stakes holiday for my family. Nonetheless, it's still something we enjoy celebrating. So here are my 3 questions. What's really important here, I think, for me, what's really important for Halloween is the ability to dress up as someone else. How often do we have that in our everyday lives? The ability to enjoy safe scares, and of course the candy. The barriers that we face is social distancing recommendations, so we can't trick or treat door to door. And we also are concerned about surface contact exposure. As I mentioned, Lily is medically fragile, so we don't want anything coming into our house or her touching anything that could have COVID-19 on it. But I do have some resources. I have my home and everything that's in it, and I have online shopping, which includes the streaming services that we have. So this Halloween, we're going to dress up, hold a scavenger hunt inside our house for candy, and watch a family-friendly scary movie. As you plan what you want to do for your holiday this year, I want to give you some links to help you. There's CDC holiday guidelines that are now out. They go through Thanksgiving. They don't have anything yet for December, but they do have recommendations for Halloween, Dia de los Muertos, and Thanksgiving. John Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health has created this recommendation for innovative holiday and winter gatherings in times of COVID-19. And don't worry about writing any of this stuff down. For those of you who are with me tonight, I will email these links to you. And just in case you need a little extra inspiration, I found this list from Snack Nation, which is 23 virtual holiday party ideas that you can enjoy, which I just thought was wonderful. So with that, I'm going to invite you now to our moderated discussion. I've listed some holidays here: Halloween, Thanksgiving, Chalaka, Hanukkah, Solstice, Christmas, Kwanzaa, New Year's. There's dozens of other holidays between now and the New Year's that are not listed. But I invite you to share what you think you might do. Or maybe even just start with that first question. What's really important to you about these upcoming holidays?
Yeah, so that's what we'll start with. What's really important about these holidays for you? Meredith gave a pretty good example of Halloween. Maybe we should move to Thanksgiving, unless you've got something different than what she said.
Dot, you're muted. Let me unmute you. Go ahead.
Well, the thing I like about Halloween and Thanksgiving, they're different. Halloween's more fun, but you don't have to give gifts. And Thanksgiving is about getting together big, particularly with family. And again, it's not, there's not any obligatory gift exchange and that sort of thing. I personally like to give gifts throughout the year when I see something someone needs or would like to have and would work nicely. And I pay attention to birthdays, but Christmas is a little artificial. It's fun, but it's artificial. And so it's the getting together. And what I miss, I have no family in town. All my family live out of town. So it's, for me, Thanksgiving in particular. Many years recently, I've gone out to Colorado. My sister-in-law comes to Colorado, and we go with my kids someplace up in the mountains where we love. And of course, right now they're all on fire in Colorado, and we can't travel. So it's going to be very different this year.
Anybody else with thought?
Janet.
Oh, could you unmute Janet? Meredith?
So, Janet, I've asked to unmute you. It won't let me just unmute. I'm not sure why.
Maybe you can do it yourself, Janet. Try unmuting. It's in the lower left corner.
Janet, you can also probably just hold down your space bar and it will temporarily unmute you as long as you're holding your space bar. That works for me sometimes.
Wow, that's interesting. I've never known that.
Okay. My older sister called today, and we were talking about what's going on now. And then she said, what are we going to do for Thanksgiving? Because there's the two of us and then my brother with his son and daughter and their kids. And then I don't know if Marie usually spends it with her in-laws. So I said, well, I don't know. I had one suggestion. My brother is founded Imago, and they have a building, and the building has a big room that we could distance and have a Thanksgiving dinner together. So maybe I just thought of that, but that would be one of my suggestions for it.
That's great. You've
That's very
identified
good.
the resources that are
Yeah.
available to you. Yeah.
Right. Well, they have dishes there. That's all there, but it would have to be potluck.
Right.
Anybody else got thoughts? And if you can't unmute yourself, just push the space bar like Janet did. I assume that's how she got it.
Martha, you're unmuted. Did you want to say something?
I haven't thought a lot about planning for the Thanksgiving. I do enjoy Zoom with my family, so I'll certainly take that into consideration. Probably not travel.
Yeah.
Nancy Johnson wrote that she and her family like to cook. I think that's cool because I'm not a cook.
We do like to cook, so Thanksgiving and Christmas are big cooking events for us. And Christmas, we might actually see my son and his girlfriend, depending. But Thanksgiving, we don't see them because they're in Chicago. And so we have some friends that we've been Zooming with once a month for a weekend dinner, and we'll each make half of the dishes. So we're doing it Sunday night, like I'm making an Indian main dish and they're making the pie and the salad, and they live in Clifton. And so we just drive to one house or the other and swap dishes. And then we go home and go on to Zoom. And that's been really fun because you're not just eating your own cooking and you get to admire each other's food. And so that's been, and so we've actually been doing Thanksgiving with them for several years. And so I'm sure that's what we'll probably do this year. So
That's pretty creative. What that does is stimulate me to think that you could, if you had enough advanced timing and all of that, is that you could cook something that, or bake something that is preservable and ship it to somebody and then get on Zoom and you could eat together the same thing, that treat.
yeah, it's kind of like ordering takeout. You have to figure out which things will travel from the restaurant to your house and still be good when they get there. And I guess we've been somewhat less worried about, I mean, we wear masks and things while we're doing our exchange of dishes. So it's been fun.
Any ideas?
Well, we were planning to travel to Philadelphia for Thanksgiving. But as the incidence of COVID infections goes up, not quite sure how that will affect our travel plans. And in the past, we have had enough time in summer and ventilation, we have been able to be together inside our house without masks. But should we travel, we may need to do more masking or distancing. So I don't know. We might have to do something by Zoom. So it'll be a last minute thing, I guess, depending.
My family has decided to do bring your own everything. And then we're going to sit out in the garage with a space heater.
Oh, that's great. And you'll be far enough apart from each other and fresh air coming in.
Yeah. Yep. Nancy, you're about to say something. I'm so sorry.
That's a great plan, because then you don't have to worry about utensils and things if everybody brings their own stuff. So, we've been doing a thing too with my son and his girlfriend, and we normally see them every 6 weeks. And since we haven't been, we take them out to dinner. So they'll order in and we'll order in, and then we Zoom. And we have my son and I have a shared credit card. And so we buy their dinner, because parents, of course, always buy their children's dinner, no matter how old they get. So that's been another thing that's been fun.
Yeah.
That's a helpful idea if we can't travel.
Yeah, we could have a Thanksgiving dinner delivered to our daughter, and that would be interesting. That's a great idea.
Every summer we have, for about 50 years, we have a family reunion, which includes all of the United States. And so this year we couldn't have that. We used to go to Fort Wayne, because that's where my sister lives, and they have a big, he's a farmer, so they have a big garage that we can all meet together and eat there. So this year, instead of doing that, we got on Zoom and spent 2 hours on Zoom with everybody tuning in that wanted to. And so I think there were 22 of us together this year. And I suggested we do it again at Christmas, and everybody said, yippee.
That's great.
When we've been in Colorado, a couple of times we've been out hiking and nobody wanted to cook, and we've picked up from complete dinners from Whole Foods. But we could pick up dinners. I could pick up one here in Cincinnati, and the kids in Denver could pick one up, and the kids in North Carolina could pick one up, and we could all share the same kind of food, even if we hadn't actually cooked it ourselves. That's a good idea.
Any thoughts that you have, Allison?
One thought that I have is, so for me, Thanksgiving in particular may be the hardest for me this year, because I was planning to visit my family who live many hours away, and I'm not. So a family I don't see very often. And for me, what is important about Thanksgiving in particular has always been time with family. The one thing that I've been thinking about is like virtual game night. I don't know if any of you have seen that, but there's some games you can play via Zoom or Google Meet or something like that. So I'm still thinking about the questions you offered, Meredith. I wanted to say thank you for them. It'll help me frame that up, but I'm offering that to all of you as one other thing that can be fun.
It's a great
Does
suggestion.
each person have a cell phone while they're doing that?
Yes, a cell phone or a laptop either one will work. Yeah, I can find the name if you'd like, and Meredith, if you want, I can send it to you if you want to include it.
Yeah, that would be great.
That reminds me, I am part of a monthly poker game that has been going on since 2001. And we were all teachers at Hughes High School, and we would get together once a month to play poker. And so we didn't want our string of monthly gatherings to disappear because of COVID. So we use Zoom, but we also have an interactive poker game that's an online poker game that it's a free game, and you get all this funny money, and you have $10,000 that you can work with at each time. And so whatever you get, actually it's $20,000. So, and it's a tournament. And then we have Zoom conversations while we're playing the game, and we just split the computer screen. And it's kept the community that we have built together. And we have this game that can be frustrating and all of that, but it works.
Great. Well, y'all, we are
That's right.
we're 3 minutes past 7:30, but I didn't want to cut off our conversation. I'm sorry for talking so long. I really appreciated the conversation we were able to have. Anyone have any last minute thoughts they wanted to add?
The last thing that I'm thinking, this will be at 20 seconds, is time in nature. I think for me, that's always been an important part of the holidays. And the fact that we still can do that safely, I'm counting my blessings on that one.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's a good one to end with.
Yeah.
Something on a positive note.
Well, thank you all for joining tonight. May your imaginations see you through. See all of us
Meredith,
through.
thank you for sharing all of this, Meredith. I especially appreciate your personal stories
Yes.
and enjoyed the pictures of your girls.
Thank you. We have fun.
Yes.
All right. Have a good rest of your evening, y'all.
Thanks,
Bye.
Nancy. Bye, everybody.
Okay. Bye.